Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am wicked tight through my hamstrings and my glutes lately, so lucky you, that's what we get to work on today. So essentially, it's going to be hips and back of the legs. Now, if you have a strap, this is a really fantastic tool to use today. If you don't have one, you probably have a belt somewhere in your house. If you don't have a belt, you could get a towel um, and then lengthwise kind of roll it up almost as if it were a strap. But it's going to be super, super, super duper useful. So if you need a second, you can pause the video and go grab something for yourself. If you don't have anything like that, don't worry about it. I'll give you options, of course. Also, one other thing, blocks or pillows, something you can bring behind your knees for a stretch. Again, if you don't have it, don't worry about it. Sound good? Okay, have your strap handy and then make your way onto your back. You might choose to just full on starfish here if you want to. Legs outstretched out to the side, arms to the side. Maybe you take a more sort of traditional corpse pose if you want to. You could have the legs bent. If so, maybe take the feet a little bit wider so that the knees can hang in toward each other. Maybe you choose to take a butterfly position with the feet, with the, or legs rather, with the soles of the feet together and your knees wide. Whatever feels best for you. Once you've found a pose that in which you feel supported, right, and full of ease. For 3 breaths, inhale through your nose, and exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And then continue breathing however feels best for you, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. If it feels smooth and spacious, then awesome. Maybe you notice some sticky or choppy spots along the way, in which case, awesome. But you could try to lengthen through those parts just to smooth the breath out a little bit more. Last few breaths here. And then slowly start to bring a little bit of movement back into your body, whatever way feels best to wake up. It could be small movement, it could be big movement. And then start to draw your knees in toward your chest and take a little rock from side to side. And let's start to draw circles here with the legs and the hip sockets. So you might take big wide circles. The knees could go in the same direction as each other or in opposite directions. And then pause back in center. Okay, grab your strap. Again, if you don't have one, it's okay, don't worry about it. But it's a really cool, useful tool. So bring the strap to the balls of the feet. What do I mean by the balls of the feet? Well, if you were able to point your toes up to the sky, or point your feet up to the sky, but then flex your toes back, it's right where the toes meet the foot. So flointing, flexed pointing, kind of like you're standing on your toes on the floor like a Barbie doll foot. Knees could be deeply bent here. They do not need to be straight. Okay. And then One cool little trick is you can loop the strap around your hands if you wish to, or just walk your hands up as far as you can so that you don't have to bend the elbows, right, to draw tension here. Okay, so keep pointing and the toes or the feet up to the sky as you flex the toes back. This might be enough for you. Some of you might start to curl up. Maybe you walk your hands up the strap. Maybe you pull your legs toward you a little bit more. Press the low back into the floor. Take the tension out of the neck and shoulders. Some of you, if you don't have a strap, just hold the backs of your thighs or calves. And then slowly, gently release. Okay, keep your right foot in the strap. Take the left leg out. And then bend your right knee to start with, just to give yourself a little bit of space. The same thing. Start to reach the right leg up to the sky. This time, though, I want that foot totally flexed. Technically, dorsiflexion. So as if you're standing on the ceiling. Right? Peel the toes back toward your face. Again, your knee could be deeply bent here. It doesn't need to be straight. If you feel that sort of trembling sensation, back out of the tension, back out of the depth on the hamstring, because there's no point in trying to stretch when the leg is trying to protect itself, right? That's what that trembling is. Now you might stay here. Some of you might choose to deepen it by extending the left leg along the floor. You might need to loosen up the strap a little bit as you do that. Both ankles quite active, toes peeling back toward your shin. Couple more breaths here. You might even play with bending the knee a little bit more or straightening it a little bit more. Okay, take both sides of the strap into your right hand. Take the left hand out to the side as counterbalance. And then again, your knee can be bent, doesn't need to be straight. Take your right leg out to the right. And I'm going to bend my knee because otherwise I'm going to kick over my bookcase. You could bend the left knee and let it wing out to the side, and then you're sort of getting like a 2-for-1 stretch here. Now, if your right elbow happens to reach the floor, you can then start to use the strength of your biceps to curl your right leg closer to your right shoulder. But again, only so deep as you feel comfortable going today. This is a big hamstring and adductor stretch. Okay, slowly, gently bring it back to center. And then bend your left knee to start with. Take both straps into that left hand now. So it's still on the right foot, but you've got your left hand on the straps. Take your right thumb, hook it into the hip crease of that right leg. And then use your right thumb as a reminder to bring your right hip down to the foot edge of the mat and also down to the floor. You're going to try and keep your right hip on the floor as you start to cross your right leg across the center line of your body. Leg can be bent or straight. Now, I really like kind of counterbalancing with the left foot, so heel and toe it out a little bit wider and then let the left knee cross the center line as well. But what we're not doing is going into a big twist, right? We're just getting this quite potentially interesting IT band stretch, or at least muscles that attach the IT band as well as hamstrings on the right side. Keep rooting the back of your right hip to the earth. So nothing has lifted up here. And then inhale, come back to center. Last couple breaths with this right leg. Maybe use a strap. Some of you might have a bind on the toe. Go wherever you need to go. And that is quite a lot of that. So shake it out. Gently release. Oh, that's a lot of tension. Releasing that we've done on one side. So let's switch to the other side. Bring the strap now to the balls of your left foot and reach it up to the sky. Now, it's not that it's dangerous or it's wrong to have the strap further down the foot. It just helps you get into the calves a little bit more, the more you're able to draw your toes toward your face. So maybe you walk your hands up the strap so that you can just allow the weight of your arms to help with the stretch here. Your right knee could stay bent. You might extend it along the floor or extend the leg along the floor. It doesn't particularly matter And then this left knee could be deeply bent. You're still getting a hamstring stretch, or it could be straight. It could be further away from your body than mine is, right? Don't base your pose on where the yoga teacher is, because they're generally hypermobile, hyper flexible, or maybe we're backing out of it, right? So go where you need to go. Last couple breaths here in the center. Okay, now start to bring both straps into the left hand. Right arm can go out to the side for counterbalance. Inhale here and exhale and bring the left leg out to the left. Again, the knee could be bent or straight. Maybe your left elbow reaches the floor, in which case you can start to biceps curl your left leg higher up to the left. Your right knee could be bent, in which case let it hang out to the right, or the leg could be straight. If so, reach the heel further away. But again, only go so far as you can before you feel that trembling sensation. You never want to feel pain, right? Nothing hot, sharp, shooting, or electrical. Discomfort is okay. Tension is okay. And then on your inhale, slowly come back to center. Now keep that left foot in, but switch the straps over to the right hand. Take your left thumb, hook it into the hip crease of that left leg as a reminder now to wrap that left hip down and to the earth. And then draw your left leg just across the center line of your body. Now you might not be able to see me, that's fine, but my leg is probably about maybe 10 degrees across the center line. Maybe even less than that. As I said, I'm quite tight lately. You might be further over, but this isn't a twist, right? That left hip, the entire back and hips are on the floor. Last couple breaths here. Been doing a lot of biking lately, so this feels awesome. Cyclists and runners, hopefully you're getting good benefit from this. Okay, inhale, come back to center. And then last couple breaths in the middle. Maybe you go deeper, maybe not. Maybe you play with bending that left knee a little bit more or straightening it. Maybe you have some sort of other bind on the leg. And then slowly, gently release the leg from the strap. Shake out your legs a little bit. Whew. I already feel about 2 inches taller. Hopefully you feel good too. From here, grab the backs of your thighs. Maybe it feels good to rock and roll up and down your spine. Shoulder blades to sit bones. If not, roll to one side, press yourself up. We're going to meet on hands and knees. You know me. I love cat and cow. So let's move through cat and cow. So knees underneath hips, toes can be tucked or untucked. Hands nice and wide. Inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through the collarbones. Exhale, round through the spine. Press the floor away from you. Inhale into cow. Exhale, round into cat. A couple more of these undulations. On your own time, on your own breath. Hopefully that feels like a nice break for the legs, but also a nice release for the spine. You could take a little wag of the tail from side to side, or barrel rolls through the chest. And then slowly come back to center. Now, if downward facing dog is not a great pose for you, you could try it on your forearms today, or just stay here in cat and cow. Otherwise, join me, tuck your toes, and exhale, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Hey, maybe it feels more accessible today after all of that hamstring work. I know it does for me. Holy moly. You can pedal the heels toward the floor, bending one knee and then the other. Make sure that you're not dumping into the heels of the hands. If anything, try to send your weight more into the finger pads. Little hug of the upper arm bones toward each other. Last couple breaths here. All right, slowly bend the knees, come back, hands and knees. A little wiggle or shake. And then shift your hips on one side so you can swing your legs forward. Nice seated position. Shake out, release, whatever you need to. All right, let's give the hamstrings a break. We're going to come back to them before we come back down to the floor, but let's get into the glutes a little bit. So, first off, right shin in front, left shin out to the side. So, a 90-90 stretch. Hopefully, feels really nice, right? We've got external rotation, we've got internal rotation. And then get curious. You might choose to come over top of that front shin. You might rotate and fold over top of that front thigh. Some of you might choose to take pigeon prep instead, in which case, by all means, sweep that left leg back around and behind you and go where you need to go. And you might stay up really high. You might come down a bit lower. Maybe you let the head hang. You could always bring a pillow or a block underneath your forehead, maybe even a stack of blocks, depending on how far down you want to come. And can you find your breath again? Because it tends to be in these moments of stillness that the mind starts to wander. Last few breaths here. And then using your hands on the floor, press yourself back up. Swing the left leg in front of you, and then cross your right ankle over top of the left thigh. So keep these toes nice and active. This might be enough of a stretch for you in figure 4. If you'd like to deepen it, keep the spine long, lean back, and bend the bottom knee. You could rest your hands behind you, or you might interlace your hands on the back of that left thigh. And you'll notice the closer you draw that in, the deeper that stretch will be. Some of you I know will prefer to stack the shins and go into fire logs instead, whether you stay up or around forward. Go where you need to go. For me, this is hitting the spot a little bit better than fire logs today. You could rock a little bit side to side here to see if there's a different angle. But try to keep the spine long, because as soon as you round through the spine, you lose some of the stretch. Last couple breaths here. Okay, slowly, gently unwind, unhook that leg, shake them out a little bit, and then we'll switch sides. So fold the left shin in front, right shin out to the side. Again, if you want to, you can swing that leg back along behind you for pigeon prep instead. And then get curious. Maybe on this side it feels better to come over top of the shin, over top of the thigh. Maybe you go to the same place as the first side. Maybe it's totally different. Go wherever you need to go, as high or as low as feels good. And again, can you find your breath? Maybe even a single point of focus for your eyes on the floor in front of you. Or gently close your eyes. And then slowly press yourself back up. to seated. Swing your right leg in front and then cross the left ankle over top of the right thigh. Again, this might be enough, or maybe you start to deepen it by leaning back, bend the bottom knee. Maybe you rest your hands behind you or interlace your hands on the back of that right thigh. As always, if you want to go into fire logs, you're welcome to go into fire logs or any other sort of variation that you like. Maybe there's a different angle here that feels interesting. Go where you need to go. Spine stays nice and long. And keep a nice flex of those left toes back toward the shin. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly, gently unwind. Unhook the legs, shake them out a little bit. Now, back to low back or hamstrings. If you have something to sit up on, this is a really great place to sit up on a chip foam block or maybe your rolled up towel. Just helps tilt the pelvis forward. First, we're going to start with the low back stretch variation. So legs extended in front of you, bring your blocks or your pillows behind your knees. If you don't have them, just make sure you keep your knees bent. Okay, that's all good. So keeping those knees bent, flex your toes back toward your shins, wrap your shoulder blades onto your back. Walk forward on a long line to start with. Make sure it feels okay on the low back. If so, then start to round forward wherever you need to go. And you could keep those legs or toes really active, or maybe just let everything go passive. Now, hopefully, you're feeling a nice release into the lumbar spine here. Right? By bending the knees as deeply as we are, we're taking some of the tension out of the hamstrings and instead sort of targeting the release into the low back. And then slowly walk yourself back up to seated. Remove your pillow or your blocks. Shake out your legs a little bit. Now, some of you here might want to use the strap, again, on the balls of the feet. So this is a similar position, just now we're seated rather than on our backs. Little micro bend in those knees, right? Particularly if your legs naturally hyperextend. And then maybe you start to tilt forward. This might be enough. Maybe you walk your hands further down. Some of you might just have an easy grab, easy, of the toes or the feet. I like to keep a little micro bend here. Sometimes I even bring my hands behind my knees just to make sure. We don't often do hamstring stretches with both legs at the same time unless we're in a standing forward fold, which, hey, look what position we're in. It's the same, right? Last couple breaths here. Maybe you feel gravity starting to work on your body a little bit more. Stay longer if you'd like to. Otherwise, inhale, slowly come back up. Bring your hands behind you. Bend your knees. Oh, little windshield wiper of the legs. Gosh, that feels luxurious and lovely to me anyway. And then swing your legs in front of you. And then start to roll down toward your back. You could do a Pilates style roll down, or maybe you use your hands underneath you. And once you're down, draw your knees into your chest, little rock from side to side. And one last hip stretch before we come to a more restful pose. I'm going to spin to face you just because it's a little bit tricky to get into or to describe. So Gomukhasana legs are a lot more accessible on your spine or on your back than they are seated. So reach your legs up to the sky. From here, cross your right thigh over top of your left and then bend your knees. this might be enough. That right hip likes to hike up, so keep reaching it or wrapping it back down to the floor. You might just hold on to your knees. Maybe you feel like you could go a little bit deeper, in which case walk your hands further down your legs. Maybe you get to your heels. And the more that you're able to bring your feet away from each other and the shins parallel to the earth, the deeper you will feel this. Keep wrapping that right hip to the floor. Last couple breaths here, keeping the tension out of the neck and shoulders. Gently curl your nose toward your knees if you wish to go kind of full pretzel here. And then bring your head back down to the earth. Gently release your legs, shake them out a little bit. And then we'll switch sides. So left thigh crosses over top of right. Bend the knees. Again, this might be enough, right? It can be so different from one side to the other. Keep wrapping that left hip to the floor. Maybe you walk your hands further down your legs. Maybe you get to the heels. And then possibly draw the feet away from each other and the shins parallel to the earth. Welcome to stay here, or maybe you curl your nose toward your knees. And then slowly, gently release back down to the floor. Unwind your legs, shake them all out. I'm going to spin back, and then hug your knees into your chest, little rock from side to side. Let's move into a twist. So take your right arm out to the side, shift your hips right, exhale, lower the knees to the left. I sure hope my recording is still going. Stay here in this twist. You might be wondering why I was wondering if the recording was still going. Somehow Siri came up on my watch. I don't know. This twist can be as gentle or as deep as you need. Knees stacked, legs crossed, or a single leg twist. Last couple breaths here. On your inhale, return to center, reset your pelvis and your spine, and then shift your hips left arm out to the side, exhale over the knees to the right. And again, even with twists, you don't have to take the same variation from one side to the other. Maybe you go a little bit deeper on this side, maybe go a little bit gentler, particularly if you have any chronic issues in the hips or the spine. Last breath here. And then inhale, return to center, reset your pelvis and your spine, and then draw your knees toward you. Take them wide out toward your shoulders or armpits for happy baby. You could stay here or kick your feet up to the sky. Maybe grab the backs of the thighs or somewhere along the legs, the ankles, or the feet. This is a really great release for the low back, but also the adductors and the glutes. You can rock a little bit from side to side. You might extend one leg or the other. And if there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest today, a posture, or meditation, or breath work, please feel free to take it. If you have your blocks or a rolled up towel, you might bring them behind your knees for your rest today. I like to call that yoga lazy boy. It feels really nice. You could rest on your side or in a meditation or child's pose, wherever you need to go. And there is absolutely no rush to find your pose of rest. But once you're there, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh your breath away. 2 more. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And let go of all breath control, all muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your face or your jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the floor. Take a moment to thank yourself for coming here today, for giving yourself this opportunity to really find some deep lengthening through your muscles. And your wonderful body for moving and finding length for you. Stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.